Hi, my name is Lene, and I'm an instructor at Northwest Christian University in the psychology department. And I would just like to say welcome to everyone to Psychometrics. And I want to start off, and I remember being back in high school and taking a job fit placement test, and we got the results back, and I'll never forget the top profession on my list. Number one was clown. Number two was, I believe, TV personality. And then the third one was counselor. And I remember just my reaction to that, a clown. Um, I thought that was pretty interesting. But this test is a good example of a psychometric test. And so some of you may be thinking, what is psychometrics? It's a pretty, it's actually a pretty complex field that encompasses all forms of psychological testing, anything from IQ tests to personality tests, similar to the one that I took, a job placement test, the GRE, SAT, ACT. These are all examples of psychometric tests. And the field of psychometrics is concerned with how we identify needs to create these tests, how we construct these tests. We need to then test and ensure, we have to test the test, make sure that it's valid, that it's actually testing what it's saying that it's going to be testing, and then once it has been validated and it's been found to be reliable, it's a process of implementing that on a larger scale and really what that means for society. We're all affected by psychometrics on a daily basis, whether we recognize it or not. And I think that our culture as a whole, we are so interested in knowing. We're interested not in, well, I think or I feel, but we're interested in knowing. And so how do we know something? We know something by having quantifiable data to support our beliefs or opinions. And we get that quantifiable data through testing, and a lot of that is psychometric testing. So here's a scenario. You are a counselor, and you're working with a client who is suffering with depression. You have concerns that they may have some suicidal thinking, some suicidal tendencies, and you're just really in your gut feeling off. Now, you've asked this client, are they feeling suicidal one day in a session? You just kind of have a funny feeling. They say, no, I'm not suicidal, and you still can't shake that feeling. And so you go ahead and you take the step to call the police, have them do a well checkup on them at their place of residence. They're in a supported housing program, so you also talk to the housing coordinator and let them know what your concerns are. And as a result, you get sued. So two scenarios. You're in the courtroom. The first scenario is you're being questioned. Why did you share this confidential information? That you're meeting with the client, you have these concerns about them. In the first scenario, you're left with, okay, well, I have this gut feeling. Something inside of me was saying that I needed to do this. And unfortunately, in that type of a situation, although I believe in the power of that and kind of that gut instinct, you wouldn't have much to stand on. And so if we're taking scenario two where you say, okay, well, we had this particular client engage in an array of tests, and they ranked in the 98th percentile for a suicidal risk. And what we know is that these certain behaviors are associated with an increased risk or imminent suicidality, and your client was displaying those behaviors, and you have the ability to then justify your answers based on something that we would consider to be knowing. So in this type of a situation, having that quantifiable data, that psychometric information available to you, is both for the benefit of the client and it's for the benefit of yourself to be able to know something. Now, the example with the personality test, that job match test that I took in high school, was an example of knowing on a personal level, where I can know something more about myself as a result of the psychometric information. So in a very brief nutshell, that's kind of an overview of the type of things that we look at when we're studying psychometrics, why it's important in our society, and how the field of psychometrics works as a whole. Specifically for this class, now this is an 8-week online class focused on psychometrics. And we understand that this is a really large field, and so this is going to be an overview. And we have quite a bit of information to cover. So the things that you can expect on a weekly basis, you can expect to engage in quite a bit of reading. You can expect to participate in online discussion boards. You'll notice in the syllabus, and please take time to look at the syllabus and study it thoroughly. You'll have weekly postings. With each posting, I'm going to ask that you incorporate quotations from or information from the textbook and also from outside sources to ensure that you're getting a depth of information and making sure that you're also posting and having interactions with your fellow classmates in the process. And throughout the course of the term, you also can expect 2 tests. We're going to have 2 tests. They're going to each be worth 100 points, and they will be non-cumulative. So the first test will be over the first 4 weeks of information. The second test will be over the second 4 weeks of information. At the end of the course, you're also going to have a major paper due, which I'm really excited about because it's going to give you the opportunity to really experience what it might be like to work in the field of psychometrics. You will identify an area of need. You will come up with a hypothetical test construction, and you'll come up with the questions that you're going to use and a justification for why you're going to set your test up the way that you decide to set it up. So I invite you to really be creative in identifying an area of need that you're passionate about and that has relevance for your current and maybe future life with the career that you're going to be doing when you get your degree. I do really look forward to this term together and want to encourage you to make contact with me if you have any further questions. Thank you, and yeah, I'm excited to get started.